everyone, thanks for joining us. We're going to have Rachel joining us from Chocolate Production Films any moment now. Rachel, if you can hear me, would you like to join me on the screen? Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
Happy to have you.
Great to be there here.
Fantastic. If you're all ready, I will hand over to you.
Excellent. So, well, it's so weird to not be able to see everyone, but hoping that everyone can see and hear me okay. I've first of all wanted to congratulate all of you on getting into the University of Law, and actually wanted to tell you about my own career journey, hopefully to inspire you and to give you something to think about in the coming weeks as you start university. So, as you know, my name is Rachel Wang. And I'm a filmmaker, a businesswoman, and an entrepreneur. And I run a business called Chocolate Films, which produces video content for a wide range of clients in the UK and beyond. We work with a great deal of cultural and arts sectors, and we're known best for our cultural work. So we also work in education, in charity, and in corporate filmmaking, as well as in broadcast and cinema work as well. So we do a range of things. We mostly produce content for online and for exhibitions. I'm also a trustee of the National Portrait Gallery, and I'm also on the UK Council for the Creative Industries Federation. So I've been invited to talk to you today about my career journey, which, like all the best journeys, have some very unexpected twists and turns. I started at the University of Law in 1998. To me, it feels like yesterday, but the world was very different then. So it was a time of Tony Blair, Saving Private Ryan, and the Spice Girls. This was also the year when DVDs went on sale for the first time. So the tools that I use today and you use today, YouTube, Facebook, Google, Twitter, Instagram, Netflix, and iPlayer, none of these existed then. So video displays and installations were even quite rudimentary. So let's be clear about this. There's no way that I could have imagined what Chocolate Films does today, let alone to imagine me doing it. Up until this point, I'd followed my heart rather than mapping out my career. So I was fascinated by art. I'd completed a foundation course in art and studied history of art and theology at Bristol University. But then when I moved back to London, I did something that was a bit out of character. I decided, with encouragement from my father, to be sensible. And so I started a conversion course at the University of Law. And I remember that year really vividly. When I left, I then went on to corporate finance and working in the city. So, you know, how you might ask, how did I end up being an entrepreneur and a filmmaker? And I can really safely say that initially it was out of necessity. So I had a good job that paid well, but corporate finance really wasn't for me. I really missed my creative outlet. So I started making short films in evenings and at weekends, and that's what I really loved. But back then, any sort of film production was really quite an undertaking. So I have to sort of set the scene for you. Video cameras and editing equipment were not as easy to come by as they are now. Mobile phones couldn't record video or even take photos. And video cameras were expensive to buy. They were really hard to learn how to use, and they were practically impossible to hire. But nothing was going to stop me making films. So back in the earliest days, I remember walking around Soho with a script that I'd written that I wanted to make into a short film. And I literally just haphazardly noticed a film crew on location. And I approached these total strangers with my idea and to work on my film for free. And that became my first film. With my job and my filmmaking, I was working really round the clock. So I was really desperate to turn my hobby, which it was then, into a full-time occupation. So I sent my CV to everyone in the media industry in London, and that's literally absolutely everyone. I offered my time for free to volunteer at production companies and film distribution houses. All I wanted was an opening, so I could feel that I was legitimately able to change my career. I did get a couple of interviews, but nothing stuck. So I'm, maybe you can tell, I'm not very good at taking no for an answer. So my partner, Mark Curry, and I decided to take things into our own hands, and we both quit our full-time jobs in 2002. And that's the same year that we actually got married. We decided to set up our business, Chocolate Films. Now, this was a bit of a harebrained scheme because we had no investment money, no real filmmaking experience, and no equipment. But we did have a range of skills that stood us in good stead. Mark had trained in theatre and worked in marketing, so he had the structural storytelling skills that filmmakers need. And I had a background in art and history of art, which helped the visual side of our work. And of course, I had my background in law, which has over the years become really essential. My conversion course at the University of Law did not take me on a traditional career path, but I have found that it's been useful throughout the journey I did take. So understanding contracts and intellectual property have been absolutely essential. But so have the skills that I've picked up, such as the attention to detail that you need and that you're going to be learning throughout your 3 years at the University of Law. Being able to question, being able to negotiate. I can safely say that the 2 years I spent at the University of Law were the most valuable bits of training that I've ever taken. So over the past 15 years, Chocolate Films have grown really organically, with no external funding with no external investment, not funding, and with minimal borrowing. So Chocolate Films now has offices in London, we have offices in Glasgow and in Berlin in Germany. Before lockdown, we had 25 members of staff that were full-time members of staff. And our clients include big corporates and charities, West End theatres, and almost all the museums and galleries that you can think about in London, and many Scottish ones as well as galleries in as far reach as Abu Dhabi, Florence, and Hamburg. So we regularly get commissioned by the BBC, and we're actually currently in post-production on our third feature documentary at the moment. So really, Chocolate Films is a bootstrap business. This means that we've grown by reinvesting money into our company rather than inviting investment. But my approach to business has always been to grow carefully and organically, and to try and bring my team with me as we grow. So like many startups, my company has started with 2 people doing absolutely everything. So Mark and I were the board and the C-suite. We were the sales team, the marketing team, the project managers, the HR department, the quality controllers. And we were the writers, directors, editors, camera operators, sound recorders, voice over artists even, and runners. All that experience now is fantastic because hopefully I really believe that our team understand that Mark and I can appreciate and feel compassion and understanding for all of the different roles that now our team venture into. But that's also really meant that when we set up the company in this way, we wanted to set it up in the way that we believed in, and we've run it using our hearts and our creativity, mixed in, of course, with good legal and business sense. So during these really unstable and uncertain times, I wanted to kind of give you a few tips as part of my talk that hopefully you can digest and go away and feel inspired and encouraged by. So here is some important, I think important bits of advice for you to take along with you along the way. So my first tip would be to focus on people and not money. So I'm really disappointed sometimes when I hear other CEOs talking about their purpose being to give the greatest return to their shareholders and investors. But that's not what I think about when I think about my business. So I see the purpose of Chocolate Films as a place where clients get great films and our team love coming to work. I think it's all about the people, and I never forget to be nice to people. You never know who your future client or employer might be. So I have so many examples of this, but this is one that sometimes I tell in my talks. So at Chocolate Films, we now work with every museum and gallery in London, and I can actually chart the growth in that sector from one initial meeting I had in 2005. So the person that I met with was in the arts department in Lambeth Council all those years ago. We really got on. When he moved to the Hayward Gallery, he recommended us. And someone that we then met at the Hayward Gallery then recommended us to the Tate. And through these recommendations and introductions, Chocolate Films Network grew through that arts and cultural industry and that sector, which I continue to be really passionate and really excited about. So my second tip is to write your own story. So when I left corporate finance and the corporate finance world, it was really because I wanted freedom from that type of environment, and also I wanted to be creative and to flourish within my creativity. And I didn't really like the constraints personally of the city. But I'd never worked for a production company, so I didn't have any idea of how other production companies work. To be honest, I still don't. We decided to make a feature film in 2006. And rather than going through all of the formal routes that there are to make that feature film, we just really had an idea, put something on paper, and then we actually started filming once we connected with the different people that thought that it was also a good idea and wanted to be part of it. And 2 years later, this film, which was called Afro-Saxons, was released in the cinemas. And about 5 years ago, we decided to set up a web series about people of London. So 360 episodes in, and we're going from strength to strength. And that's a project which is really a documentary anthology, and you can watch that on 1000londoners.com. So it's 1000londoners.com, and you'll see a collection, a myriad and wealth of different people who are basically Londoners that we've gone out to make a short documentary about, to showcase the diversity, richness, and what London life is today. But I sometimes wonder what Chocolate Films would have been like if I had have worked in another production company beforehand. Because we've actually invented every structure, system and methodology based on what we thought was a good way of doing things for us. For example, in an industry that's actually filled with freelancers, we at Chocolate Films have decided to run our business with a full-time team only. And in an industry where most companies hire kit, we always buy kit. In a business where most people work absolutely crazy hours, we have a strict and loose system for time management. And I get to see my 2 children every morning and evening, and Chocolate Films is still here. So my third tip for, and actually that's my final tip, and then I'm just going to round off, is that you have a chance to do something good in your career. So I suppose I'd suggest don't do bad things. I suppose that's obvious, but I'm not sure that people should really work for people who do bad things. I personally didn't want to do that. But also don't do things that are just ethically neutral. So when I worked in corporate finance, I spent months of my life working for businesses that didn't really add to the general well-being of the world. And I personally found that really soul-destroying. So when I set up Chocolate Films, I wanted to do some good. And so we developed a social side to the company that delivers workshops in video production to young people and to vulnerable adults who wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity. And we go out to discover talent in BAME communities and actively engage with hard-to-reach groups such as the homeless, refugees and young people on free school meals. Diversity and inclusion are embedded and have always been embedded to the work that we do at Chocolate Films. And last year alone, we actually engaged with over 5,000 people through our filmmaking workshops. And our whole team is invested in this. We only employ people who are really inspired to work on this side of the company as well as in our productions. So one of the biggest twists, I was talking about twists earlier on in my career, has been this year, as it has been for so many other people. Like many people, life has been upended by the coronavirus pandemic, and Chocolate Films has been best known for its work in arts and culture, and of course that world has really been devastated. In February we had over 1,000 people see our films at Tate Modern at a fantastic screening of our 1,000 Londoners documentary anthology, and we also had one of our films shown on the big screen at Piccadilly Circus, which is one of the biggest, it is the largest screen in Europe. So that was like, that's where we were in February. And of course, things have changed a lot since then, because a month later we closed our doors and we were really unable to film. But I suppose, this hasn't stopped me. It hasn't stopped Chocolate Films, and Chocolate Films has kept on going, against all odds. So far, the pandemic has taught me that it's so important to really stick to your guns and to never give up, and to try to be positive and enjoy the challenges that are thrown at you. So with you now starting out in a really crazy, very, very different time. And after the last few months, I'm sure that you feel a bit unsettled, to say the least. But I hope that you're able to take a feather out of my cap and pick yourself up and keep going and enjoy the challenges that are thrown at you as you venture into your new university, which I'm sure is going to be incredibly exciting for you. I suppose really I just want to wish you good luck, stay positive. This is just the beginning. So what you learn at the University of Law is really the foundation to enable and to help you achieve exactly what you want to achieve in life. Thank you. Hello. I don't know if anyone's got any comments. Oh, right. Okay. So I'm looking over to the side here. Thank you so much. Oh, that's nice. I don't know if anyone's got any questions to ask me, or anything that, you want to ask about my career over the past 19 years working in video, but if you do, then you can write a little note on the side, and I'm looking at them now. Oh, lots of lovely messages. Thank you. Oh, okay, I've got something from Lizette. I would love to know what your dreams and ambitions were when you first started uni. Oh, I've always wanted to be creative, you know. That's always been my dream, to make films and to be creative and also to inspire people. I think I've always really wanted to have a voice to make people feel better about themselves. So that's really, even when I was at university at Bristol, then that's something that was always in the back of my mind. I hope that answers your question. I think the great thing about, great. No, I think the great thing about film is that it can offer up so many different possibilities as well. So, you know, saying you're a filmmaker, that doesn't mean you're actually doing one job. It means you're probably doing 5 different jobs at any one time and meeting so many different people. And I think engaging with people is such a wonderful thing to do. You can learn so much all the time about yourself as well as other people, which is a really exciting thing, especially in documentary filmmaking. Well, I mean, I suppose since I haven't got any other comments, yeah, I wish you all well and good luck with everything. And I'm at Chocolate Films, so you can always contact me if you need any advice. See you guys.